Visualize and talking.
I just sort of buckled my snowboard on. I can feel the pressure of my straps on my ankles. Is it snowing or is it sunny? Is there wind on my face? I reach over to the gate. I make sure the handles are adjusted to the right height. I'm looking at the top of the start gate, just waiting for it to move, trying to feel what that adrenaline's like. The gate opens. I can hear it. It makes like an audible click. I imagine like the exhale of my breath, because you're holding your breath. When you pull, you're pulling as hard as you can and trying to generate as much speed, and so it's like this exhale and react. I have to move really quickly over the first two features. It's real target shoot. You really have to like barely pick your feet up and over. I can hear the wind going through my goggles, and I can sort of feel it on my eyes. Probably 40 miles an hour through there. I'm jockeying for position, making sure that my body position's really good. I know people are going to be trying to crowd my space. If you're driving a car and you have a 5-lane road and 6 cars and you're all trying to fight to go the fastest, you're going to hit each other. You're going to bump against each other. You're going to trade pain. Rubbing is racing, being close to each other. That's the chaos. Like if you slip up in the first corner, your day could be done. It's like first round, first run. I always imagine taking a pretty big, deep breath. About halfway through the course, a lot of times you can hear like an edge running through the snow or somebody coming up short on a jump. My heart rate's going through my roof. If there's a competitor in front of me, I'm staying right on their tail and breaking off to the left just at the last second before I go through the last 2 rollers and cross the finish line. Even when I'm just visualizing it right now when I cross the finish line, it's this like huge relief. It's like, okay, I made it down safe. I'm going on to the next round. Like, let's do this again. I'm not out there knitting sweaters, you know. Like I'm racing bordercross because it makes me feel alive and because I love it. It's gnarly. It's probably, yeah, it's the best drug you can be able to do. So it's good.
So just a little insight about how some top performers are using sports psychology to get the best out of their performance. So in here in that video, Jason Day said he closes his eyes, sees the shot, visualizes the next shot in front of my mind, focusing on what I can control in that moment. So on competition days, there's so many different things going on. It's all about what can I control and how can what I control give me that best performance. And then he has a focus cue as well. A lot of times with imagery, it can be either from an internal perspective, so you're living the route as the snowboarder was just then, or it can be from an external perspective where you're watching the race happen as it's happening. So you're seeing yourself as you're performing.
Does anyone use visualization? Yeah?
Yeah, it can be incredibly powerful.
What sorts of stuff do you do? Because obviously there's a few divers, a few swimmers there. Alison, what do you do?
We just like doing like the dive that goes with like standard.
At what point?
Like just before you're about to do it.
So as you get on the board?
Like start like saying a couple of people before you're about to go, then do it.
Yeah.
It's like getting mentally ready for it.
Who else put that up there? Sorry. Well,
whenever I'm using it, I can try and visualise a game, different strategies and ways to play, so I can try and watch
any swimmers? Put that on.
What do you like the whole race, at the start, the midway through and the end, and like whereabouts you want to be with the crowd and stuff like that, what sort of pace you want to be going at.
It's like execute your game plan sorts of stuff. So, Lynn, you say?
Yeah, do you want like think about how many like turns and stuff like that, like option 4.
So yeah, so when we've been on camp as well with Anthony James, he talks about one of his close friends, Ben Brown, using visualization, and the fact that he did it years before even the event. Sees his time on the board, cuts his race down into different sections, so maybe it might just be the start, maybe it might just be the end, and kind of break it down to really small segments, even to the point of laying in his bed with his cap and goggles on, and going through that visualization. And AJ was telling us that it's got to the point now where Ben can't tell the difference between the visualization and the actual real event. You can't actually tell the difference because he was within such a short amount of space of time from the time that he visualized to the time that he got. So you can't actually differentiate between what's real and what you visualize.
Sorry for that.
Sorry.
No, I love it. Again, it's a skill that you can train and become better at. So with imagery, we talk in terms of two factors, vividness and control. So vividness, how clear can we see that picture? And control, how much can we control what is happening within that? So talking about seeing the time and seeing different sections of the race, how much can we control that? Again, this is something, I mean, ultimately it is shutting your eyes and thinking about it. But if you go with different people that do it, or coaches that can help you, or professionals, they can just give little cues along the way to begin with, and as you become more comfortable, then you can do it. The putting your goggles on and the hat is something called petalent imagery, which stands for something which I can't remember at this point, but it's basically being as close to the event as possible. So lying there with your goggles on and with your cap on, right? It just breaks down it allows you to feel more where you are, and therefore have better vividness and control when you are. Good. Going back to breathing, so this was Ronaldo straight after. He said the minutes before the penalty felt eternal, 4.5 minutes. My heart rate went up. I'm sure some of you can associate with that as you're getting ready to go into your performance. But I knew that I needed to calm myself because it would be decisive. And how did he do that? He used his breathing. And then here, visualizing the way I want it to be done. Not all the different options, the way I want it to be done. The most present, hyper-focused moment of my life. The level of detail in this guy's commentary of his visualization is really incredible. So hearing the wind go through my goggles. Sometimes we call it sensualization. So we're not just thinking about what we see, but actually everything involved with it. Then he has the breath, breaks to the left, and then he's ready to go again. I'm just going to touch upon, and this will go into some of the boxes, touch upon what does it look like if you're working with a mindset coach or a sports psychologist. So and this comes into some of these things, let me see here. So you might be able to get some components and rationale on page 2 in the top. You might be able to get some in the bottom left box on that page 2 as well. You might be able to get some behaviors. You also might be able to get stuff in the top left of page 3. And then you've already got the skills. You should have the skills in those bottom 2 pages on page 3 as well. We've also got pre-competition practices. We've gone through quite a few just then. And then also, we'll come on to that later actually. So, what happens if I'm working with an individual is they'll come to me and we'll just get to know them a little bit. And the main things that I'm looking for is commitment. So I think in here it's called behaviors. So what behaviors, how do I know, what behaviors am I seeing that show that an athlete is developing or growing or trying to? Okay, and that means that between sessions there is some conscious effort or conscious attempt to try the things that we've done. A lot of times I'll suggest a few skills that they can try, and it's basically just an encouragement to try them. What works for one person isn't necessarily going to work for the other one. So what it does take is a conscious effort each time we suggest it, if you're willing to go away and try it, and a commitment to doing that. If we just want to turn up to our performance and be able to do this skill, we're not going to be able to do it. Okay, it's like if I was in a diving competition tomorrow and you ask me to go and do it and I go without any training of it, chances are I'm going to make a big splash. But with the psychological skills, if you want to be able to use visualization before your event, then it needs to come a practice in and out of training before we actually get to the event. So there's a real build-up and a commitment. Okay, I keep coming back to it, a conscious effort, and it really is that awareness of how you're feeling and what you can do to change that and putting that effort towards it. In terms of measuring the impact, that's going to be how you're feeling before the performance, how you're feeling during it, how you're feeling afterwards. All right, this is one of the things where difference between UK and USA trained. UK can be quite questionnaire and assessment heavy, whereas USA in the program I was in, we tend to come away from that and we just kind of go for like just getting to know the person and getting to know their performance routines and plans. Okay, but some people you work with, they may get you to go through assessments and questionnaires, and I think there's some in the pre-workshop book, right? Yeah. One of the biggest things is getting that feedback. I'm pretty sure this is in one of the boxes as well, right? So it's a collaborative process. It's not me saying, you need to do this, this is going to help you. It's you telling me what your challenge is. I'm going to give you, we're going to talk through it so that you can understand that challenge a little bit more. I'm going to give you some ideas of what to go and try. And then when you come back, it's how did it make me feel? How did I perform? How did I find those strategies? And it's that collaborative process from the commitment that you show going through the plan that ends up with you able to adapt and get the most out of your time together and the most out of your journey. The biggest thing for me with working with performers is it is your performance and it is your journey. I'm here to facilitate as much improvement and control as I can, but I can't help you to do these things at training every night or out of training every night. So it really comes down to that commitment. And those are the kind of behaviours that we're looking to see. Are there any questions with that in terms of what you're filling in? I know it's dotted around a little bit. I'd like to give you a challenge.
What I will say, whenever it says describe at the top of the question, it needs to be in a lot of detail. Yeah, so if it says identify, that's fine. You can just do bullet points, sort of stuff like that. But if it says describe, it needs a good bit of detail. Otherwise, as assessors, we'll be giving it straight back to you.
All right, we just go 2 or 3 minutes to get through some things. I'll be walking around, and so grab me if you've got a question or anything. And help each other out with what boxes you're filling in and all those kind of good things.
How are you getting some? There's not small, is it?
Oh no, we said my dad was like, I've never been to school.
It's not in the furlough, it's in the tennis and hockey sector. Stuff to catch up. I know, yeah, everyone, I think. Yeah, sounds good. Me?
Yeah, you
How's the hand all the way there?
So what do you mean by alternative feedback? Alright, last minute just in here.